Well, hi everyone. So I hope this is getting to everyone and you're able to see this. I've got a bunch of slides to go through and talk about everything tonight. So if you don't know who I am, I'll give you a brief synopsis of me. So I like to think of myself as the younger, cuter female version of Rick Steves, who doesn't just specialize in Europe. I've traveled to over 80 countries and islands. I've been to six continents so far. I've lived abroad in England, Ireland, and Thailand. I've worked on cruise ships. I've solo traveled for 25 months. I'm a travel photographer, and I am the owner of Launch Your Travels. Launch Your Travels is where I teach people how to plan and execute their independent travels through webinars, online courses, and in-person training. And I'm also going to be expanding into bespoke small group tours in the future as well, which I'm really excited about. So today I wanted to talk a bit about how to decrease your stress during a travel emergency. So in these times of chaos currently in the moment, I thought that since no one is traveling, and when we go to plan to travel in the future, I thought some of these tips would be quite helpful to ease any of those fears that you may have before you go on a trip. I just also wanted to say, if you have any questions throughout this, please post a comment and I will answer a bunch of questions at the end if you guys have any. So I do also have a few experiences of some travel emergencies with all my travel. I have lost my passport and my bag in Mongolia on the second day of a 15-day tour in the middle of nowhere. And I have also been in hospital in Thailand for 10 days with dengue fever, which was the worst. Don't recommend it. So let's just get stuck in. Okay, so decreasing your stress about travel emergencies with these simple tips. So first off, let's just describe some of the emergencies that can happen. So hospitalizations, stolen or lost documents, stolen bag, outbreaks, as we see now, and any unrests or riots in the countries that you're in. Now, who needs a drink after hearing that list? You know, you just got to think about those things and you're just like, well, where's the vodka? So let's help you get through these. So the first thing I want you to really think about is travel insurance. You know, I think travel insurance should have the same slogan as American Express: don't leave home without it. It's super important even if you don't think it is. So let's go into knowing what you need to know. So you want to purchase it once your flights are booked. So this way you will be able to have trip cancellation activated right away, just in case something should happen at home or happen where you are going. So kind of like what's going on now with everyone. Next, you want to add on a couple days to the end of your trip coverage. So extend your coverage a few days after when you're due to come home. You want to do this just in case you end up needing to stay abroad for longer than you expected, and you'll have, you know, a little peace of mind that you're covered. You want to know who the first payer is on your insurance policy. Now, this is particularly important for people with extended benefits and if you are retired with benefits. Now, if on the insurance, if the first payer is your extended benefits and your benefits, this could tap out all of your benefits. So you want to make sure you know what your policies on your benefits are, as well as the policy on the insurance. So if you do have limited amounts of insurance on your benefits, you want to make sure that the insurance company is the first payer. Next, you want to read and know your policy. Now, I know it looks boring and intimidated and there's lots of words, but you can really go through and figure out what you're covered for and what you're not. Because most people just buy it and forget about it, thinking that they're covered for everything. with basic coverage, depending on what you do when you travel, coverage, those don't really cover any extreme sports. And I know what you're thinking, extreme sports is like skydiving, and doing like really crazy things, but it also is, scuba diving and parasailing. So those are two very common things that people will do on beach vacations. So you want to know what the plan is, because every single plan is different. Another thing that people don't realize that travel insurance doesn't cover is rentals of scooters and mopeds while abroad. Now, the thing with this is if you get into an accident and you are not covered unless you have a valid driving license for that type of vehicle. So over here, that would be a motorcycle license. So if you do not have a motorcycle license, your trip insurance and your medical coverage is going to be void if you get into an accident while riding a scooter or moped without that proper license. I've seen a lot of horror stories from people who get into really bad accidents while riding mopeds and scooters, especially over in Asia and that. And it just voids their travel insurance because they were not properly licensed, and now they're having to pay a lot of money out of pocket. Next is you want to get the best policy for you. Everyone's different, as well as all the policies are different. You want to first check to see what you're covered with already through your credit cards or your work. You also want to remember with credit card travel insurance, you usually have to be booking your travel with that credit card to be activated. Some are different, so you want to check with the credit card to see how it is activated. And you also want to make sure you understand what the limits are that you have already. So you may be covered on some things, but not other things. And then you can just go ahead and top up that coverage where you need it. Travel insurance is super complex, as everyone has different needs. These are just a few tips to get you started and to get you thinking on different things that you should be looking for. So next, you want to have copies of your important documents. Now, things you need to know here. I'm going to go through all of these here first, and then I'll explain my reasonings behind it. So first, foremost, you want to make digital copies of everything, and then you also want to make 3 photocopies of all of it before you leave. Now, these types of documents include your passport, so like the first page where your photo and your name and all that details is. Any visas that you had to take while to travel to the country that you're going to. So those will also be in your passport, so you want to photocopy that page as well. Your driver's license, make sure you do both front and back. Your travel insurance, your basic health information, your travel itinerary. So make sure you have an itinerary, even if it's not super detailed, have a basic outline so people can see what's going on. Your airline tickets, accommodation reservations, any vaccination certificates. So if you're getting yellow fever vaccination, any of the major vaccinations, you will get a card when you get it, and then you just keep that with you. So you want to photocopy that as well. And any other prepaid confirmations. Now, any of these items that are not already digital, you want to take a photo of them, or you can also scan them in as well. So whichever one is easier for you. So the first step here is to email these photos to yourself so you have a digital copy of everything. This way, if anything gets lost or stolen, you have a digital copy with you. One of the things that I like to do is I like to create a folder in my inbox and then just tuck all of these things in there so they're super easy to find, so you're not scrolling through your whole inbox, because I'm one of those people that does not delete a lot of her emails. Then you want to email a copy of all of these things to a friend or family member that can be contacted in case of an emergency. So they know where everything is and they're going to be able to help you out. Now, the second step is to make the 3 photocopies of all these documents. Now, one copy you're going to be giving to one of your friends or family members that's getting the digital copy as well, so that they have a hard copy too, just in case. Another one is going to be kept with you. Now keep these papers folded inside a Ziploc bag and put it in your carry-on luggage. Now I like to put it in, sometimes some of the luggages have like a kind of like a lining and that has a zipper to go behind the lining. I just tuck it in there. And then the last copy will be left at home for your next of kin. So God forbid anything should happen, but just in case, you want them to be able to collect on your travel insurance policy if something does happen. So this is the information that they are going to need to be able to claim all of these things. So that's the important documents. Next, you want to know your emergency numbers. Now, you want to be able to know what everything is and how to find it. So what you need to know. So first off, 911 is different in almost all different countries. A lot of places it's 999 and it's all different things. So you want to make sure that you know what that number is before you leave. Now, the one thing I would really impress upon you is to download these apps for emergency information at a glance, basically. So Canadians, it's called Travel Smart. And for Americans, it's Smart Traveler. Now, these are government basically run apps. It's taken from like basically the websites for the travel information, and it gives you all the information that you need. Now, with these, they will give you information on a whole bunch of things, including the risk levels that are at the country that you're looking at, entry requirements, so any visas, emergency services of that country, so what the emergency numbers are. They'll also tell you the consulates and embassies that are in that country, along with their contact information, along with a bunch of different additional information that you can find all on there. Now, this is your best place to find basically your one-stop shop to get all of this critical information in. So I would highly recommend downloading those. Now, you also want to have your travel insurance emergency number accessible. So either have a photo of it on your phone. So take a picture of that. They usually give you like a little card. You can keep a card in your wallet as well. So you just have those accessible to you. And you want to know the name, address, and phone number of your accommodations. So what I like to do is when I check in, I like to take a business card so I can carry that in my wallet. I like to take a picture of that as well so I have a digital copy. If you are staying at an Airbnb or something along those lines, make sure you just have it written down, that address of where you're staying. And you can also write down the phone number of your contact of who you're renting it from. That could always help too. Now, you also want to have your emergency contacts at home, their numbers programmed into your phone. Another thing that you can also do is write out on a little card as well that you can stick in your wallet, just a couple of those, like maybe one or two people that if something happens, people can see that and take it out of your wallet and call those numbers. Now, next, you want to know how to get in touch with people. So you don't want to have problems with this when you're away because it'll just get really frustrating. So what we need to know first is before you leave, you want to learn how to use free phone apps. So anything like Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, WhatsApp, Skype, any of these will work. So just do whichever you're comfortable with. Now, one of the things you want to do is you want to learn how to use it before you leave. It's not something that you want to learn on the fly when you're out and traveling around because that will just cause more stress. So you want to eliminate as much stress as you can and learn these things at home. Next, you want to make sure that your friends or family that you are planning on contacting throughout your trip have the same app and they know how to use it as well. So I would suggest doing some video calls with them before you leave. You both try it out because I know there's been instances where I've called people, say on FaceTime, and people didn't know that they had FaceTime and their phone was just ringing. They didn't understand why it was ringing because it comes up differently. So definitely make sure people know how to use it. Another super useful tip that I found out is with Skype, you can use their phone service with 1-800 numbers for free. So usually when you dial out like a number on Skype, it's a charge call. But if you have a 1-8 number, you can dial out on their phone for free. This is super useful if you need to get in touch with your credit card companies. Say either your credit card has been stalled, or or it's been stolen, so you want to be able to get in touch with these people quite quickly. So use that 1-800 number on the back of your card that you should have a photo of in your phone, and call it through there. It'll be so much easier. And then lastly, if it's an emergency and none of these are helping, pay the cost of whatever it takes for you to get in touch with someone at home or anyone else in an emergency. Doesn't matter the cost at that point, just go ahead and do it. Now you do want to make sure that you know your country code before you dial out as well. And I'm probably going to get this wrong because I didn't write it down. But I'm pretty sure our country code is, I'm going to look it up as well. I think it's 011. Country code, Canada. No, well, it just says +1, but there's an actual other code, so I think it's 011. I'll get back to you. I'll put it in the comments. It's 011, and then you press 1, and then you press your area code, and then the phone number. So you want to make sure you know how to dial out as well. So yeah, so those are that. So next you want to register with your government. So yes, I know everyone thinks it's going to take forever, but it's worth it. So what do we need to know? So basically, registering with your government agency to the countries that you intend to visit. So this is for, in the US, they have the STEP program. And in Canada, it's called the Registration of Canadians Abroad. This is where you inform them of your travel plans. Now, these services basically enable government officials to contact you to provide information in preparation for an emergency. So something like a natural disaster or civil unrest. So they'll be able to get in touch with you and give you any information that you need. They'll also be able to give you instructions during emergencies in the country that you're in, and plus important changes or updates to the travel advisories and travel advice for the country for which you're registered for. This can also, which is really cool, the government officials can also contact you in case of a personal emergency at home. So if someone cannot get in contact with you, they can call the government and basically say that you are registered, and then they'll be able to pass a message on to you as well. So for the Americans, you can register for the STEP program through that Smart Traveler app, which makes it super easy. You just go on there. There's a little link on the bottom. It says STEP, and then you're just able to put in your information from there. Canadians, you need to go on to the website. If you just Google Registration of Canadians Abroad, it'll come up. It's a government site, and then you will just go through and fill out all the information there. But it's really handy, like especially during a time like what's happening right now is the most important thing, because those people are going to be getting the alerts quicker than anywhere else. Next, we're going to go through prescriptions. So what you need to know is, first you want to have written prescriptions for each medication you need to take regularly. So before you leave, go to the doctor and get just a prescription of each one that you need to take regularly. You want to do this basically because some places they want to see a prescription that you're needing for you to come into country with the prescriptions that you have. Another thing is if you happen to lose the bag that has the pills in it, you're able to go to a pharmacy and fill your prescription. That, will avoid you having to go see a doctor and be able to get a prescription from them and then go from there. So it just removes one step and is a lot easier. You also want to take medication for your trip plus a few extra days. Again, similar to the travel insurance, you want to make sure that in case something happens and you're needing to stay longer than expected, you have those extra buffer days of medication that you don't have to worry about. Again, with the prescription, if you're needing to stay longer than those few buffer days, you have that and you're able to fill it. Next, you want to pack prescriptions and medications in your carry-on. So don't put them in your checked bag, because we all know that those sometimes mysteriously go missing or get delayed. So you want to keep everything with you in your carry-on bag. And you want to keep medications in their original bottles. So if you usually put them in a days of the week little pill case or whatnot, you can't do that. You can bring that pill case with you, but you can't put the pills in there yet. They have to be in the bottles that they came in, because the customs agents will not know what pills these are, and they may deny you taking them into the country. And then you also want to pack a small emergency kit with some essentials. So a few essentials that I usually take are Band-Aids, antiseptic wipes. I like to bring a tensor bandage. I find those very hard to find out and about in different countries. Gauze, little small scissors, tape, and or pins. Sometimes, even with the tensor bandage, just get a small one. It's not even for a sprained ankle, but sometimes you have a Band-Aid that just won't stay on. If it's really sweaty and hot out, I usually will wrap a tensor around the bandage as well, so everything stays on. The Tylenol, Advil, you want to take a little bit of both. Just get the little travel size, and you can bring those with you. Cold and flu tablets, those are strangely hard to find good ones as well. Here in Canada, we tend to have good ones compared to other places. Antihistamines, just in case you get an allergic reaction to something, you're able to take those, or if you have allergies that you didn't realize you're going to have in another country, then they're great to have. Motion sickness pills, just in case. Imodium, again, just in case. And Polysporin, any antibacterial ointment that you can put on. So just a few little things, and you want to add to that a little bit depending on which countries you're going to go to. So lastly, we're just going to touch on staying calm. So with this, that's what most people will be like. But the calmer you are, the more better the situation will be. When you start to panic, everything gets flustered and you just don't know what to do and where to go. So when you have a calmer mind and can calm down a little bit and just really think through what needs to get done, you can get to things so much quicker. Also, again, you want to follow advice from credible sources only. So watch who you're getting advice from. You don't necessarily want to get advice from, your uncle over Facebook or something like that if it's not credible that he's reading from. You want to make sure that you're going to the sources and finding out what that information is that you need to know. If you do panic and you know that you're one of those people that does panic or just shuts down at any emergency situation, you want to have someone level-headed at home that you can call. So you want to make sure that you can call them and get them to calm you down and guide you through the emergency that you're going through. I also like to put a meditation app on my phone. Insight Timer is the one that I use, but I find, even a 1-minute little meditation will help you just kind of refocus and just kind of get back to the ground and see where you are and be able to make the next step. So it's just one step in front of the other. Now, another thing that would be really handy if you're kind of a little bit anxious and whatnot, before you leave, you want to write down your worst case scenarios and then you want to add in the steps you need to take for each one for reference. So you are fearing that your passport is going to get stolen. So you want to write down, stolen passport. Okay, what do I need to do? Okay, I need to call the consulate. Okay, I need to get the copy of my passport and my other identification. And then you just want to go through each step and then have that with you, kind of, tuck it away in your day bag that you take around with you, or your wallet, or whatever you want to put it in, so that if anything does happen, you kind of have a guide to tell you, okay, these are the next steps that I need to take. So preparation is everything. You have no idea if an emergency is going to happen or not. So it's just one of those things that if you can prepare, it's great. And if not, then you're going to be a little bit more flustered than anything. So it's just one of those things that if you can do that, then it's so much easier, and you'll have a more enjoyable time on your holiday. So if anyone, I think that's the end of my slides. Oh, I have one last one. Okay, so if you don't know how to find me, this is how to find me. So you can go to my website, Launch Your Travels. I also have a photography website at Jen Williams Photography. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. You can also email me if you have any questions. If you do still have any concerns, I have put together a guide on how to stay safe while traveling. If you just go down to that website down at the bottom, the link down at the bottom, the bit.ly/Launch Your Travels, you'll be able to download it for free there. So you can get that as well. So if anyone has any questions now, I'm just going to look through. Favorite travel insurance, Amy. So the one that I always go with is World Nomads. They tend to cover quite a lot. They mostly specialize in like long-term travel, but you can definitely use it for short-term travel. And it has a lot of good coverage for different things that you're going to be doing on a little bit more adventurous stuff. But they do have an age limit. I think their age limit is 65. So I would just check to see whichever ones are out there as well. Check your costs, check what you have at home as well. Jordana, yes, I totally agree. Make sure you're wearing a medical bracelet or anything on your body with allergies or any medication intolerances. That's super important. I should actually get one of those. And then, yes, I agree, knowing the basic ingredients in certain antibiotics in case you're prescribed them in another language. Totally agree with that. I found when I was getting prescriptions, or you don't even get prescriptions, like you basically go to a pharmacy in a lot of countries and they will give you like antibiotics without a prescription. So know your allergies. Like I'm allergic to penicillin, so I had to be careful that they didn't didn't give me anything that was in that psyllin grouping. And also what I did is usually I have a SIM card in my phone, or I have data on my phone when I travel, and I will Google, before I purchase anything, I will Google what the medications are, what they're for, and what the side effects are, just to make sure that they know what they're giving me and I know what I'm taking, so that I'm not purchasing anything that's not going to be right for me. Because I have done that, and I Googled it back at the hotel and I was like, well, this is useless. So yeah, totally agree. You want to make sure that you are knowing what's in everything and that you're being given. So if no one else has any other questions, food allergies. Yes. Yeah, food allergies, that's basically one thing that I would suggest is before you leave, make sure you either have someone that knows the language. If they don't speak English in the country that you're going to, get someone either at home that knows the language, or when you first arrive and at your hotel, get that person to write down in the language allergic to whichever you're allergic to, or can't have this. I will die from this. Something along that lines. I am now, within the last year, allergic to soy. So that just, totally bums me out, because that will eliminate so much street food that I can eat in Asia. But I am now going to have to be that person that carries around a card in the local languages that says, I cannot have soy. Don't put soy. I will die. Basically, depends on how bad your allergy is. Mine's pretty bad. So I want to emphasize how bad it is, so that they just don't go, oh, So that's the way I would handle it. So if you don't have any other questions, I will sign off now. Again, I will post again for next week's webinar. Hopefully it went all right this time. I'll take a look after. And then yeah, next week is pros and cons of booking your own flights. So I hope you guys have a great evening. Again, if you have any more questions, please just keep posting them in the comment section there, and I will reply back to all of them. All right, I hope you guys have a great night. Talk to you later. Bye.